Hello YouTube, RJ. Well, we're back for part 2 of the Heathkit V7A restoration. At this point, we've tested this in the part 1 and we found there's a lot of problems. So part 2, we're going to tear this thing up. Let's jump right in and get this thing tore apart. I think I'm going to start out by getting the knobs off of this to start with. This one right here. Okay. Go ahead and start trying to get knobs off. Well, it's funny that one come off because this one was not loose. Okay, there's knobs off over here. Let's get these knobs off. I've never had one of these apart. I never built one. So we are kind of going to learn a lot on our own here. Probably should be, one thing I see right off the bat is the meter is not calibrated at all. When it's sitting up level like this, it should be zeroed. That's the first calibration thing on all these meters like this. I'm gonna have to get down. If my head gets in the view, I'm sorry, but I got to get down to make sure there's no parallax or whatever. Okay, that we would have done that later on calibration, but I'm here right now. I've done it. We'll do it again. We'll check it again. So I know just enough to be dangerous about these things. I understand the principle of it, how the electronic circuits for the most part work in it. I've just never worked on one, never taken one apart. Don't know what I'm going to find when I get in here. It doesn't look like you would need to take this out, but wow. We'll go ahead and remove it. If I was a little smarter, something just fell in there. So obviously there's a nut or something that I didn't need to take that off. If I was smarter, I'd go look at how to do this online. That's probably where somebody damaged this trying to get the front off. Yeah, that's what it is. They've used a screwdriver and they got over aggressive with a big screwdriver and damaged that getting it off. Okay. Learn something every day. Yeah, I didn't need to take, oh, I see. That screw and nut and washer in here held this spring for the battery. That's what we were dealing with. This thing does not look bad, folks. Somewhat surprised. Nice thing about this steel case, still aluminum. Hang on just a minute, we're gonna find out. I'm not sure if we're looking at steel or aluminum here, but where is my magnet? Here it is. I'll tell you in a minute why that would be steel. So it is a steel case. There's no battery in it. It's probably why the ohm meter is not quite working the way it should. This thing is really clean. Man, I keep looking up on this stuff. Now let me make sure. One thing is I know that some people add a battery eliminator circuit. So maybe I need to research that and make sure this doesn't have it. I don't see where it looks like anybody has added anything to it. I see a capacitor right in here that definitely needs to be changed. That's an oldie. And really, there's not much. The ceramic capacitor, which typically you're not going to need to worry about. Here's another electrolytic, probably should change. A couple ceramics in there I'm comfortable with. Tubes look nice. Of course, we have a way to test those now, so we'll take a test. Let's see if I can get you a little more focused in on this top camera and let you get a little closer look. It's real hard because the depth is not real deep, so if I focus one place, the rest is out of focus. But it's got the original diode. I know some people change these. I intentionally didn't actually do a lot of research on this before I started this project because I wanted me and you to go on this trip and learn as we went. I just thought it would be more interesting if I didn't go in knowing everything about this meter and say, okay, this got to be done. And I just thought we'd go in together and kind of learn as we went. I see they use the old tie and knot and the cable for your strain relief. That's nice. Interesting battery clip. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let me see what I can do about figuring out what capacitors these are and see about getting some coming, because I doubt I have any. It's possible I might have this one down here depending on what size it is. I don't think I'm going to have a 16. I don't know what the voltage is on that, but I'm sure it's fairly high voltage. So I'll see what I need to do about getting capacitors to change those capacitors. We want to get those changed out before we do any calibrating of this thing. I'll set up and come back. We'll do some tube testing. We'll make sure these tubes test good. That'll be an important point. We know the transformer's good because it does work somewhat. Got a lot of resistors, but they're not the old carbon. They look more like more of a old precision type. Got a lot of carbons over here, but I'm guessing those aren't your critical circuits. Got some pots here for calibration. And we know these pots need cleaning. We clean these switches, and these pots need cleaning. That's for sure. These pots will get cleaned too. And we'll see about getting a battery for it. So let me jump out here now. No reason to just go on and on and on. We'll jump out. Let me start gathering, see if I can get some parts coming for it. Let me set up to test the tubes. See if I'm going to need to get tube coming. Let me research this diode to see if I need, I'm sure I'll have it's probably like a 14007 would probably work perfect here, but I'm sure I've got, whatever diode it is, I'm sure I've got a diode to replace this if I deem that it needs to be done. I'll be back. We'll test some tubes. I'll fill you in on what I found out about different stuff, and we will disassemble it some more. I'll get the face off. We'll polish out the face. And we will get this thing in pristine operation. That's the plan. So see you in a few. Okay, after looking at this for a minute, I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and have us do some more disassembly. So I'm going to turns out this all will come right apart. There's some nuts and screws here, but they go up under the meter. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off because I need to polish it. So you get on the sides here and you kind of pry it out. Pry this side out and it'll pop off. So I'm going to set that aside. That's going to get polished. I'm going to polish that out good. Then what you've got is to get to them, they're actually under the actual scale plate. So you got to get the scale plate out, and I'm looking at it. What it is, they're like very thin, small hex. I'm not going to have anything, I think, that will fit that. So I'm going to do something I'm not wild about. But I'm going to see if I can take my needle nose and go in and grab them on the ends and loosen them. Don't know. Do not want to do damage. Yeah, they're coming loose. That one's coming loose anyway. As soon as I get them loose enough, I'm going to try to do them by finger. I don't want to damage this scale or do anything to the needle. So I'm going to set this over here on the meter benzil, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So what I want to do is, because I'm afraid of losing these, I'm going to hand screw these back into the meter. So that's out of the way. And I thought that was going to get me in to screws under here. but maybe not. Guess I was wrong about that. The plastic is glued to it, so maybe I have to get in there. What we may have to do, let me see if I can get in here where you can see decent, is I might have to get in down in here and just undo the nuts. So that might be how that comes off. So I will make that happen. I've got to get these nuts off, but that shouldn't be a big problem. These should come off just like that. All of them. So yeah. So we'll get those off. There's two big nuts in the back here that connect the meter. If I was to take those loose, that would release this meter from the circuit board. And then all that it would take was to get these nuts off in here to get this off. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and take those nuts for the meter off. Now, the only issue I see is the wires for this are both blue. So I'm going to take a magic marker sorry about any reaching. I'm going to take a magic marker and I'm going to put a dot on the positive one and on the circuit board just above the positive symbol. And that way I won't get in trouble later by getting confused and putting the wires backwards, because these wires are going to come loose once I take the meter out. So I went and took them loose so they wouldn't hold me. And now it's just a matter, all of this is loose. All right, we got her now. All right, there's that nut, there's that washer. This bracket will now apparently come off. There's little notches the board sets on, so you have to kind of spring that out a little bit. All right, that's off now. Another one of the washers under the pots. Get enough cord to get him out of my way somewhat. And these are clipped in and soldered. Let's see if I can get this meter. Now the meter's out. And what I'm going to do is, because there's washers and stuff on here, I'm going to put these big nuts back on to hold them there so they don't get lost and I don't lose track of where they go. So probably going to desolder these wires, but I want to mark them. I'm going to put a little tape on them, mark them, and I'll desolder these two wires off. I'll be right back. We'll do that. Okay, we went ahead, put some tape here. You might be able to make out here. I wrote common here and AC here for which jacks to go to. So I've got my panel free, and I'm setting that over here, being leery of the meter movement. So now we're go ahead and get these washers off of each and every one of these potentiometers. That's all of them. So now we're really ready for cleanup. So my thought is I'm going to put the hardware in a container, and I'm going to hand clean the plastic here, hand polish the plastic here, just a little bit of water with just a tiny bit of drop of soap in there, just going to kind of wet that a little and even touch it to get any dust or whatever off. It's very clean, looks good. Then I'm going to clean the pots and give them some good exercise and switches. Test the tubes. This video is probably long enough. I'm gonna break here. I'm going to go ahead and start doing some of that. I'll capture some of that and come back on another video where I show what I've done, what we find on the tubes. We'll test the tubes and see what we find. Explain what parts I need, what I had, whether I had parts and could do it, or whether we got to order them, and what I found out about this diode. So make sure to jump in and watch the next video on this. Thank you for coming along. Hopefully we'll end up with a very good meter when I'm done here. So let me hop off. The thunder is rolling in, as you can probably hear. And so we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for being a viewer. And if you haven't subscribed, if you don't mind, give me a subscribe. If you find it interesting, click like if you like it. Hit the bell to be notified. That helps me, but it also helps you. Make sure you catch all the next videos, get notified of them. Thank you so very much for being a part of the channel. We'll see you in the next video.